Hello everyone, welcome to the FUZEMON webinar. This is where we're going to talk about leveraging influencer marketing for your business with Lily and Anil. Do you want to?
Yeah, so we're going to cover the entire introduction to not just to influencer marketing, but to who we are and to what our company does. We'll also be covering the creator economy and also giving you some tips or suggestions, describing the process flow to getting your right influencers. How do you quote your right price, and how do you, evaluate which strategy do you need to go for. Moving on.
Yeah, I'll talk a bit about myself. My name is Lily Jahanbakhsh. You can just call me Lily Jahan for short. But yeah, I've been playing games ever since I was a child, and he wants to call me a gaming genius, so I'll let him do that. But yeah, one of my, main focuses in life is to, promote mental health and make sure everyone's prioritizing their mental health more than anything, because a lot of people forget to do that.
She's definitely talking about me, but that's fine. And another thing which she technically forgot mentioning about her is that she's technically surrounded by influencers a lot. A lot of her friends are influencers, so she's the right person to talk about influencers, when you have influencer friends. But if you want to talk about influencers as business partners or, as a promotional tool, I'm the one. So I am Anil, and yeah, you can just call me Anil. There's no short form, so technically I've got like a 4-letter name anyway. And then, yeah, before this company, I founded another company, and currently, I'm just pretty much doing, sales, I guess. But more importantly, my personal belief is that ocean and sea life is technically more important. I mean, as important as our own lives. So we should be focusing more on, conservation, marine life conservation. And apart from that, I really enjoy talking to founders, mutually helping each other, to leverage XYZs and PQRs, fix some levers and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much about me.
I'm also his mic assistant, if you haven't noticed.
Sometimes you need some assistance. Come on, yeah, sure.
But yeah, so simply what FUZEMON is we connect influencers and brands for brand deals. Pretty self-explanatory. So yeah.
You don't have to be just brand. It's technically any businesses.
Any company, business, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what we essentially do is not just connecting you. We are not exactly an agency. So what we do is we match make, but we do it not just with one influencer, but on a large scale. So it's like, if you want 50 influencers working for your brand, promoting your brand in one go, we are the people you need to come to. If you need just 1 or 2 influencers, we still can manage.
You could say with a Tinder or Google Ads.
Oh yeah,
for influencer marketing.
Yeah, sure. It's her statement, but I'm going to steal it now. So yeah, we are Google Ads for influencer marketing.
Yeah. So there are a lot of misconceptions for the influencer marketing. So I'm just going to clear a bit of that up for you. So influencer marketing isn't just celebrity influencers. It's not solely for awareness. It's not actually that expensive. And it's not only just for, real life products, which I will clear up.
Right. And more importantly, talking about expensive, we will be talking about the entire pricing and why you as a company or a business need to know that it's really affordable, and it's one of the best ways for you. It's almost like a PR, like you have your control. It's one of the best ways for you to promote your service. However, let's talk about what influencer marketing actually is.
So influence marketing is actually a way for influencers or content creators to influence their followers' decisions. So to promote a business's product or message or service, anything like that. It's not expensive, can be expensive. It's not all expensive. It's not just about awareness, can be for sales. But yeah, influencer marketing is more than you would actually think. So influencer marketing isn't actually, a 21st century thing. It's been here for ages, probably before even the 1760s. But one company that we will talk about is Wedgwood. Hopefully I'm not butchering the name. But Wedgwood essentially used, the royalty kind of influence to promote a product that they were selling, such as their pottery called Queensware.
And they're still operational, kicking really good money in, and they're still really selling good, fine china, I guess. Still they're operational, which is a surprise. Let's just hope they're still using Queensware.
Yeah. So you can actually find influencers on pretty much a lot of platforms. So the ones we will discuss are Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube, because these are the main ones that, people use for influence marketing, because they're pretty cool.
Yeah. One thing, one observation which we all need to understand is most of the three of these companies at least, got their fame and attention in the last decade. And so this is exactly the time frame where we can associate this whole creator economy, which we will be talking about, booming as hand in hand with the social media, because it also talks about authenticity. We'll talk about that later, but there are other ways to finding influencers. Apart from just doing it manually, you can come to us. Okay, enough of self-promotion, but yeah, we can do that for you. But it's pretty difficult if you are going by just with the platform, because you have to first figure out a ton of processes, which we will be talking about later. But what we also need to address is that the whole data restriction. So for example, on YouTube, you can find only 10 emails or 10 influencer emails per day. So you will need to either create multiple Google accounts and switch between those to actually make a thing. And I don't need to talk about the sales pipeline. We know 700 emails, 5 will open up, 1 will respond. So if that's the ratio, good luck. So let's talk about creator economy. How do we define creator economy, right? So as I particularly said, in the last decade, we have seen this whole influencer or the creator economy, or content creators, becoming or booming or increasing in number, hand in hand with the social media boom. So creator economy is essentially all these businesses or business making activity, bless you by the way, business making activity done by content creators. They are not freelancers, definitely. We will be talking about the gig economy and creator economy and differentiate it. And we'll also be publishing a blog soon on that. So if you are a business who's technically confused and find it difficult to understand it, which is pretty understandable, head over there. But sticking to the creator economy part, it's almost like this. There are content creators who are establishing or creating their own brands. Now, once you have your brand ready, what you need to do is, as a new company or you monetize it. Now, that whole monetization principle is essentially moving this whole economy, moving creator economy forward. So, looking at the numbers, we can simply say that 2012, which is exactly the time when essentially Facebook and every other big platforms were starting to gain humongous popularity, is when this whole thing started out. And now I would just give literally 2 seconds for everyone, if you are interested, to guess what's the market size or market value of all these creator economy platforms. Essentially, it's definitely not 100. It's definitely greater than 140 million. I would just say give it a try.
I mean, I'll give you a little hint. It's bigger than you would think. So
let's do it. Yep. So it's 104 billion. That's how big this is. But why does it even matter? Why do we need to care? Why do you need to care as a business? The answer here is not why is it big or the stuff. How do you use it? Because social media is really big, right? But how do we use it? To gain customers, to put our brand out in the public, right? So to gain, eventually to make money out of it. Creator economy is essentially the same. We talk about Web3, we talk about a lot of these terms. Let's forget everything for now and just focus on one thing. Who gives you money? Customers. How do you reach out to them? 20 years ago, you would have gone to a television store or television publisher or a broadcasting channel and would probably promote your service, and it would reach out to masses. The key here is that it is a faceless approach. You are not in public. People would know your product, but they wouldn't know you, and that's something you need to figure out. Who are you as a brand as well? With creator economy, what has changed is that it has brought authenticity to the table. Now, everyone who's promoting or advocating your brand will be accountable for your brand's deeds and misdeeds equally. So it brings us to the core of this creator economy. Why is it the future? We all are moving towards stateless and more proof-based, trust-based, situations,
more authentic,
systems.
yeah.
Exactly. So if every influencer who's promoting your product is accountable, that makes your brand much more valuable, as a matter of fact, because they are, if someone's authentic enough and promoting and after conducting respective due diligence, of course, they're promoting, that's your value, right? But what it also does is it brings you leads, which we will be talking later. So I particularly mentioned why this whole faceless publications are now facing this, wrath of people. Yeah, we had to take a water break, but at the same time, now I'm my own mic man. So pretty good. I think I'm promoted now. More importantly, let's talk again, getting back to the creator economy boom. One thing which we technically want to talk about is authenticity, because that is something we as a startup would definitely want to focus on. I mean, we are focusing on already, but we would also advise every company to focus on, because if you're authentic, what does it even mean? What does it even mean to be authentic, right? Let's talk it from an influencer's perspective. From an influencer's perspective, it's technically their journey, how they were initially, what happened, how did they get into this journey, and how they have progressed through it entirely. Now, when we look at it, it's almost like watching a baby grow, right? We evaluate, we see how their personality has changed, we see it, but then we know for a fact that whatever changes they have been through, it's true. It's not something that they have technically masked on. It's not something that they put on a mask, like most of these faceless publications and faceless, mediums or channels are there, right? So we, as a company, as a brand, how do you actually, imbibe authenticity into yours? One way of doing that is actually by being associated with authentic people. Pretty simple, but not easy. Talking about it, because it took me close to 6 months to get our first right influencer for us. And that happened, and then we saw how greatly our value was boosted. And then we started doing that on a frequent basis, and then we saw how it also affected our search engine results, or how our lead acquisition, and every single aspect around it. So I won't be just using information here and just blabbering around it. I'll probably give you some more data around it, but let's move on a little to actually talk about what platforms should you be using for your specific use case or specific demographics, because here's a reality. You can't use LinkedIn if you're targeting specific younger audience, because it's definitely not the right platform. So you need to figure out what's the right platform, number one. Number two, who are authentic people in there? We don't need, specifically you don't need people who are not content creators. So there are multiple ways I like to specify or classify people or influencers as content creators, content curators, and content thieves. So we don't need a third kind of people. And unfortunately, and it's a harsh reality, everyone knows it's huge. It's the content thieves which are huge. So how do we find them? So let's talk, and I'll probably hand over to Lily so that she can share some data, as you might have guessed by now.
Okay, well, now he's holding it for me. So we'll go into a bit of, the demographics for each. So which platform is better for you, or which platforms are all better for you. You can use them all as well. So TikTok. TikTok has around a monthly average of 1 billion users, which is kind of crazy now, because it's only been a thing for, it's not that long, to be honest, before it was Musical.ly, but we won't talk about Musical.ly. One of the largest age groups for TikTok is 10 to 19. So if you ever, wanting to focus on Gen Z, TikTok is a great way, trust me. TikTok also has the majority of its demographics in the female audience. It has 61% female, while 39% male. And
by the way, I'm also Gen Z, just saying, because you can consistently talk about Gen Z, but you totally forgot to ignore.
He's a boomer.
Yeah,
sure. Okay, and Twitch, one of my probably favorite platforms, I would say. Love Twitch. Great. But it only
Amazon, you can invest in us. You have been endorsed now. Please continue.
Yeah, Twitch is amazing. So, Twitch only has like a active user base of 140 million, which actually isn't that big considering. But I would say the audience with Twitch they are much more connected. They have people, they're constantly talking to that audience. Their engagement is insane, crazy. But their audience is a bit older than TikTok. It's around 16 to 24, which is, 41% of their audience. And they have a majority of male, 65%. And they only have a 35% female, which I was shocked about because I use it a lot. Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting metric. What's more important here is that there's a significant difference between Twitch and other platforms. Twitch is primarily live streaming platform compared to others. Others are more social media or social centric platforms. So I'm not surprised that they've got 140 million compared to others who stand at billions. But I'm seriously surprised at how they even got 140 million. But that's a case study for some other day.
But yeah, I would say, Twitch is more of a live streaming platform, while the others are technically pre-made platforms, although YouTube is trying to, do the whole live streaming thing too, which I respect, do your thing. But yeah, Instagram has like a monthly active user base of, I think, around 2 billion, which is probably one of the most used influencer marketing websites or platforms as well. And they have most of them user base at like 25 to 34-year-olds, which is pretty cool. And we'll say 18 to 34-year-olds because it's essentially the same. Yeah, we'll say 18 to 34-year-olds. So they have a huge age gap. So, if you're looking for like older millennials, if you're looking for boomers, Instagram would be a great place for you. Not only that, but YouTube has a audience of over 2 billion active monthly users, which is crazy. 2 billion, more than 2 billion, which is, And they have most of their age group as just like Instagram, like 15 to 35. So, if you're also trying to get boomers, try YouTube. They have like a 50-50 split for their gender split, female and male, like 46 to 54%. So, YouTube is very, they focus on equality, I guess.
Yep. So they're more inclusive. That's what this person is claiming here. I've got nothing to comment on that. However, I think we have talked little data and more jargons here. So let's just focus a little more on the data side of it, right? So when we look at all these numbers properly, when we look actually at not just numbers, but also how each of these platforms have branded themselves. Starting off from the very basic, let's start with Twitch, because that's technically the kid, a little different from everyone else here right now. So they definitely have positioned themselves as pioneers in live streaming, but at the same time, they have been more and more engaged in how do you basically get more people to engage with content creators and influencers on the platform. A big time difference, in attention point here is that they are actively making deals for these big time gamers, let's say of Pokemon and some others, like Dr. Disrespect, I guess, or perhaps no. And so
that's complicated, sorry. Just saying, it's very complicated.
Yeah. So that's pretty much, that definitely gives us an idea on how each platform is working on. So Twitch is primarily focusing on live streaming. So they basically they started out as a live streaming platform. They have been live streaming now so far. On the other hand, YouTube, which was used by a lot of Twitch content creators to promote their Twitch channels, essentially, or cross promotion as we call it, was always primarily used as a video sharing platform. Now they are turning into live streaming as well, and they have done it pretty well. It's very difficult to compare the two platforms because of the audience and the feature difference and everything that we can think of. But what's important here is how the same influencer, can cross-promote themselves across all platforms. And that's the core point any company or you as a business need to be very careful about. It's a mistake that I have done, which will be a case study for sure, is assuming that an influencer who's great on Twitch would be great on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok as well. They would definitely be available there, but their whole audience, everything is totally different. How they interact is different, how they engage is different, and that's pretty important. We paid I would not say we, because I don't want to include Lily in this mistake of mine, but I paid close to, I think, $2,000. Yeah, for a Twitch big time streamer who had, I think, close to 600,000 followers or more on Twitch. But when we looked at the YouTube, they had less than 100,000, I guess. And we were surprised. Why? it's always the other way around. They would have less followers on Twitch because a lot of people are not, because of of course the user base difference, and they would have more. And then we started analyzing it, right? Going back to the numbers. And when we did that, it was pretty evident that this person technically was more of a live streamer. So they would just talk about your brand on the live stream rather than just preparing a script and everything else. Why does that even matter? Because this person, this influencer, he definitely spoke one or two good things about us as a paid integration, definitely. But what's important is that during the live stream on his desktop, there was our competitor's app as well, which technically was a discussion in the chat. Everyone, there were close to 2,000 people in the chat. Everyone was talking, why are you using this? You just promoted this. Are you still going to use it? Navigating back to authenticity, that's where it comes. If we did the same thing with small time influencers, which we will be we have already published the case study for, and these small time, we still see them actually coming back to the platform. And when we say platform, we're talking about Swift Skill platform, which is a long story in its own capacity, but we have pivoted from now. But yes, we have experience from that. And
I just want to add, sorry, this is something recently has happened with this whole scamming situation as well, with I guess Twitch streamer, YouTuber, TikToker, whatever you want to call him. I won't name him, but yeah, he got sponsored by a cryptocurrency platform website, and everyone in his chat essentially spammed scammer. It's a scam, it's a scam, it's a scam, and it's been going on for days now, so maybe even up to a week, and he's still being spammed with scam because people, Gen Z, they love authenticity, and when they see someone who's not doing that, they will call them out. That's the first thing they will do. They will call them out, and they will continue to do that until they prove them otherwise. So yeah, just want to add.
Right, and what's the main thing here important which aspect is that it's two-way. It's a two-sided sword. Influencers need to conduct a very comprehensive due diligence of the companies that they're working with, which makes a lot of sense because, like Lily mentioned right now, this influencer did with this platform. Well, he pretty sure would have just done for the money, right? Because they need to put food on the table, which makes sense. But would it have made some difference if he had done enough due diligence, and if, let's say, if this person doesn't really believe in the Web3 or the crypto space, it would have made more sense if they did not participate as such. It's almost like aligning your personal values with your professional values. That's what every audience these days at least is looking for. If you, let's say, don't believe in that, why are you even promoting that? It's almost simple. It's a simple question. That's, I think, what social media has brought to us, and as a company or as companies, we need to be aware of. We should be ready to answer questions because now everyone has a very strong platform to ask questions. They can ask you on Twitter. They can, comment on your Instagram, everywhere else. So, and they won't just do it for you. Like Lily mentioned, they would do to every influencer who has promoted you. So you as a company would need to be very careful on who you're selecting as an influencer, and they need to do a due diligence as well. Because if you're not aligned, like your company mission, vision, everything's not aligned with what the influencer is talking or they're doing or their life, that's a big time problem which everyone's going to face. Talking about that, because we have talked a lot about the creators and influencers and everyone, let's try to define exactly, let's try to draw a line here, because it's more important if we understand what exactly is this new thing. What is this creator economy? Why is everyone running after it now? And is it similar to freelancer? We just give money to get something done and you just say ta-ta, bye-bye. Is that it? No. Well, essentially, creators, unlike freelancers, they focus on building their brands, and I think that's one of the most important factors which are exploited by a lot of people as well. But that's a different topic for discussion. So the core difference which lies here is influencers have a certain say among a mass of people. So we'll be talking about process flow involved. How do we, because I think this is why we all are here, right? to talk about the influencer marketing, but how do we get it? How do we get the most value out of it? First, there are like 3 main segments, of course. What do you do before you start even a campaign, before you even think about a campaign? The second one is, what do you specifically do during the campaign analysis and optimization? And the third one is post-campaign. However, I'm the one who technically didn't get any good result, and she's the one who got the great results. So I'll let her speak and I'll hold the mic.
Oh, you're gonna hold it? Okay, thank you. Well, one thing I did, or the first thing I did, was evaluate our target audience. Who was our target audience? And from that, I was like, okay, I need to find an influencer with that similar target audience, because of course those are the people that are going to try and buy or use your platform, product, whatever it is. So that's what I did. And instead of using an English person, I was like, you know what? We will try to venture out, use different people, different languages, try to promote ourselves in different places, because before that, I think we were just sticking to like English people. So I tried to move to, different languages, try and see how they react, A and B test, very important. Yeah. And don't forget that they have to be in your budget. Even though they might be perfect for you, celebrity influencers such as Pokemon may not be in your budget just as of yet. They will be, don't worry. But yeah. After that, you have to focus on, the campaign at the moment. You have to think about making sure that that your KPIs are being met. You have to fix any issues. Like, for example, if a link isn't working, that's going to mess up your whole, influence marketing campaign. So make sure the links are working. From that, you can also make sure that they change their tone or become, be more authentic, not make it such a transactional behavior. You have to just make sure that your communication with the influencer is top tier, have a good back and forth, use a good messaging app, because emailing is kind of long. But yeah. So after that, you also have to make sure that your KPIs were met after. Were they met? Were they good? If not, why? Why weren't they met? Was it because of the influencer? Was it because you picked the wrong KPIs? What did you do? What did the influencer not do? What can you do better next time? These are all very important to having a good influencer marketing campaign. Okay, let me just add one more thing. Don't forget, practice makes perfect. You will never get influencer marketing right on the first turn. It's just not possible. It's like Google Ads. Do you think that you're going to get, the perfect Google Ads the first time?
Well, definitely not. But yeah, we spend a lot of money. And yeah, Google, if you're looking at it, please, if you can refund some money, that's fine as well.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. So let's talk about the pricing, because I think we talked a lot about big time influencers like Pokemon. We will also be talking about some really nice influencers in our connections, in our network. So how much do these charge, right? So we have like a mini blog post coming up on this, which we will be publishing soon, on how do you figure out how much to pay them. But in a sense, it's purely engagement. Most influencers, like big time, if you're talking about celebrity influencers, they're not going to charge you just on numbers. They're going to say, listen, I've got 1 million followers, but 2 million people know me. We don't have any data for that. But it's more about brand value, which I don't think is wrong on their part. It's perfectly right. But what when you're trying to figure out why are they charging so much, you should also have your points to counter their arguments. Let's say if someone comes to you and let's say you'd go to them and they quote your price of like £10,000 or $10,000. You should have an idea saying, hey, you got these many followers, this much of engagement. Why are you quoting this much? Because even they love to be questioned, because they don't really get to talk to a lot of businesses, so they want to engage with you. Not without beating around the bush, I'll tell you what essentially regional wise it has been. So when we looked at like Southern American regions, for any influencer who had like 100,000 followers all the way up to like 250,000 followers, I think the right amount was like £400. I think
something around that. Yeah.
We paid it. It's not right. It's what we paid, because it's case by case. You still need to figure out which one works for which one.
Of course.
For anyone above 500k followers and stuff, I think we paid around $700.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah. And
also, sorry, I just want to add that different niches will charge different prices, so be careful of that, because what we paid will not probably be what you will pay. So just remember that.
yes, it's basically about the audience which you're targeting. Let's say you're targeting a high value audience, you're gonna be charged a little more premium for that. But then if it'll definitely be worth it, hopefully, with considering that you will be following all the right rules to play with. So essentially what we're trying to look here is that each influencer charges differently, but in the UK, it's pretty expensive just for the simple fact that the cost of living is significantly higher compared to other parts of the world. Same goes for USA, I would say. If you want to go find out some influencers who actually influence in the American and in the English regions, you need to figure out Asia and Southern America. When we did with this Southern American influencer, I think we got close to 70% users from the Southern American region, but 30% were technically from English, and those 30% actually converted to premium users or the paying users. So you need to strategize on how do you actually get the value out of it. And the same goes for Asian one as well, but that's like a brief about it. We will be publishing a detailed blog post on that, so you can actually read about it, and I'll probably see if we can actually put up a pricing calculator on our website. Talking about negotiation, I think we already covered that point. You need to figure out the engagement metrics, the metrics which matter to you, but also are valuable in the platform. You can't simply say, hey, I need 1 million likes on your video on YouTube, because on YouTube what matters is the views essentially, and you can't simply just go play around with metrics. Your metrics needs to align with the platform and the influencer properly. Then that's when you'll have this whole right balancing point.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, she always says that. Whew. Okay, coming to my favorite section, strategy. So there's one misconception about strategy is that we always consider goal setting as strategy. That's not it. Strategy essentially is about actionable points and focusing on a certain target. Let's say you have got an issue. Let's say we have got a problem at hand. To solve that with certain stuff, certain resources at your hand, that's strategy. You cannot simply strategize for the next 20 years of your time. No, that's not how it is done. It's a pretty common misconception. If you want, you can just read a lot of good strategy books around that, but I'm not gonna promote or endorse anything right now. But yeah, so going back to this, what are those different strategies here? So I won't do the same mistake. I'm going to address the factor, and then I'm going to tell you what's the right strategy around it. So let's say your immediate goal or immediate issue or immediate problem that you're facing is that you need some sales or you need some brand awareness, right? Then you can simply say, oh, okay, what do I need to do for brand awareness? I've got like a $5,000 budget right now for this month. Let's do one thing. I need 1 million views on this video, which would convert to, let's say, 20,000 website visitors. Then go for celebrity influencers. That's like a very simple strategy. They would cost you, depends. When we say celebrity, I'm not talking about Ronaldo or Rihanna or anyone like that. Medium size, like celebrity means they're pretty good, but they're not like Hollywood celebrities essentially.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And when you think about that strategy, you can think about it in 3 actionable points. Number 1 is short-term integration. Let's say, can you ask this influencer to take $3,000 something to post 24 hours story on Instagram? Will it do enough good for you? That's one way of thinking of short-term. Short-term is technically like in hours or for something like going live with you, promoting your service and stuff. It's very good for your brand awareness because you're technically in the limelight for a few minutes, but then you're out of the window. Then comes a midterm integration, which is technically for few days, 14 days till 30 days, where you technically talk to some influencer or talk to some live streamer, say, hey, this is what my brand logo looks like. This is the brand messaging. I want it to be visible on your banners every single day for the next 30 days. That's one way of looking at it. Why would you do that? Because you want to build a reputation and to test an audience. Because most, let's say, Gen Z market, they don't trust you instantly. So they would want some reassurance over time. So you need some time with that. And then comes a long-term partnership, which goes on for like years, or it is like the Nike and Jordans, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. So something like that, right? So that's like this for celebrity strategy. When you want to specifically go for brand awareness, when you want to target a large number of people, just to make sure that, just to communicate that, hey, we are here. That's it.
Yeah.
Just waving your hand and just here someone else is holding your hand. That's as simple as that. Then comes your medium-sized influencer strategy. Why is this even a strategy? Why is it used? What's the action point here? What's the target issue? So you would want, let's say you are a company which has been operational since a few years now, have been making some good money, but now all you need to do is test something new as a new product. Instead of just using your existing user base, you would want something new. That's when you can go to these medium-sized influencers, like let's say 750K followers all the way to 2 million followers, something like that. And then you can go and say, hey, why don't you do that? Da, 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 da. And then they will promote it for you. But what you essentially get out of this is that you'll have a mixed people. Like you'll have around 50% of people who would just look by and just move on. And the remaining 50%, because you are technically an established company, if you have an existing touch point with your customers, they would say, hey, I heard about this. Let me check it out. So it's almost like a retargeting strategy, but retargeting methodology, not strategy, right? And then comes your micro-influencer strategy, which is technically my favorite now, thanks to Lily.
I was going to say that as well.
Yeah. She introduced me to it, but sure. So essentially what it means is that you talk to, let's say, 100 influencers, micro-influencers. They have got like 50K followers, 100K followers each. So you'd get 100 of them pretty cost effective because they don't charge you a lot, essentially. But it's a trend. Even if you get 10 of these, you're technically, making like around $5,000 total dollars, and you're getting like more than 1 million followers in cumulative. But at the same time, you have 10 different endorsements.
Yeah.
And then you can actually do a split testing.
Yeah.
You can ask 5 influencers to promote your product in one way and other 5 in another way. Or you can do a ton of stuff around this. But the core here is that you're trying to drive sales because these are small time influencers. So what they essentially have is they have very authentic and very close connection with their audience. So they have this whole push on their audience, say, listen, this is a company which I've tried. Now, why don't you buy it from them?
Yeah.
And we saw that, and we technically saw a huge jump in sales, but it does help in brand awareness, but it's more sales centric approach. I hope that's pretty much good, but we will be publishing a blog on this.
There's a lot of case studies on this, like
Yes.
Iceland has done a really good case study, but we will put all of that in the blog, so don't worry.
Just to make it easy for everyone. Whew. Okay, I think we're approaching towards the end of this whole session. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and I will, of course, feel free to answer, and then you'll understand which strategy of these 3 would work best for you. So like I've said, if you're looking, so the question first is, are you looking for brand awareness or just sales or a mixture of both? If you're looking for a mixture of both, you know the answer already. It's just media. It's a medium-sized influencers. We're not going to delve into that.
Yeah.
But if you're looking exclusively only on brand awareness, then you want to go to the next. Sorry, if you're looking for brand awareness or sales, let's go to the next question, which is, do you want to start a campaign now or can you wait for a few weeks? Why? Because if you're looking for brand awareness only, you would have to go talk to some celebrity influencers. Now, once you do talk to some celebrity influencers, you wouldn't talk to them directly. You would be talking to a talent agency or a marketing agency who would do the whole communications, and we definitely know how slow they are. It's not fast.
It takes weeks, months.
Yeah.
So,
the second question which matters is, if you want to start it now, like in the next few days, then, try reaching out to hundreds of micro-influencers. Or else, if you can wait a few months, weeks, celebrities are fine. Third question, which is the most important one, is, do you really want an authentic endorsement or do you just want a transaction-only endorsement from these influencers? Because if you're looking for authentic ones, you definitely need to do your research, but at the same time, you definitely need to go with micro-influencers. You can't simply go to celebrity influencers and say, hey, we'll do this. No, that's not happening. Everyone knows it's an ad, but we need authenticity. We need them to use it and share their review as much as they can. Now that you have answers to these questions, let me actually briefly give it to you quickly. Brand awareness, campaign waiting for a few weeks, transaction only, you go for celebrity influencers. Sales, campaign starts now. Authentic endorsement, you go for micro influencers. Everything else, you go for medium-sized influencers. But how do you reach out to them? Which Lily will be telling you about. How do you reach out to these hundreds of influencers? Self-promotional, by the way.
Well, I will hold it now. Yeah. Thank you. Well, you simply use FUZEMON.
Even like it's in...
Oh yeah, maybe here. It's my handwriting. Thank you. But yeah, essentially what we do is we'll basically do everything for you. All you need to do is create the campaign, make sure that you have the right audience, right people that you want, and we will do the rest. We will contact them. We will find the right one. We'll let you look at them. We'll do. So when you have your campaign ready and everything, we will connect you with the right influencers, however many you want, which you will be able to, adjust to whatever you need. And you also get to change it during the campaign. So let's say you think a micro influencer isn't doing too well, then maybe you can optimize it even more by, messaging them, having a direct contact, which is really hard when you can only contact them through emails. So we'll have a messaging software where you can actually contact them back and forth, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. But yeah, you can actually see everything on the website. The dashboard will help you with, CPV or cost per view, how many impressions you got in total, your recent campaigns, how you can do better, everything like that. So, check out FUZEMON.
Anyway, that's pretty much it from us here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll just move forward, I guess. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be sharing a ton of resources after this when we technically publish this, of course, in the descriptions and on our blogs and everywhere else so that you can actually use it. Yeah. And if you like this kind of format where we actually are a little more casual with you and we're more authentic with you, where we speak what we actually feel and what we have gone through, that's good. And if you want it to be more corporate, like where we just talk about the slides and just go very, very straight up to the point, please do let us know. We're technically learning. And at this point, we don't want to influence. We want to be influenced. So be our influencer. Thank you.
Thank you.